Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Wealth Migrate update on the portal and what's new on the website. We've got a few minutes to go. On the screen is a disclaimer, if you don't mind just reading this through to get a better understanding of what we should and shouldn't be saying and doing, although we're going to present what we can do on our secure site. For those of you that are new to the go-to meeting, on the right-hand side is a box where you can type questions, which we will be attending to later. There's also some settings on the right-hand side which you can minimize, or you can just enter questions or comments as we're going through. I hope you're all reading the disclaimer. How are we doing? How many people have we got on? Okay. All right. All right, everybody. Just before we kick off, I've got some guests or panelists with me today. I've got Jakes van Niekerk, who's heading up our legal department. He's on my right-hand side over here.
Good afternoon.
And then in the room we also have Jacques Roux, who's going to be answering any sales-related questions if they come up. And then from my side, I'm Cliff Kayett. I joined Wealth Migrate in June last year, and currently I'm heading up software development division of the company. So one of my main responsibilities is the development and advancement of the platform and our secure site, where we transact and we create our marketplace going forward. We've got some very exciting things coming up throughout this year. So I think this is the first of many of our updates to show you where we are in terms of our products and what new features we have. Also, it's an opportunity for us to show you what's available and for you to ask questions about parts of the system that you aren't familiar with or you don't understand. That's the idea of today. So my understanding is that all the guests online today are existing clients that have already invested, or it's new registered investors that have not yet done the investment. So hopefully today we can answer some of the questions as to how we go about investing on the platform and how it all works. All right, we're just going past 3 o'clock, which was our start time, so I take it you've all read the disclaimer. We have Jake here from Legal and Compliance, so if there's anything that I shouldn't be saying that I am saying, he will point in the right direction. And then we have Jacques, who's registered with the FSB through Velocity Trade, and he's certified to answer all of your sales-related questions if they come up, although today isn't predominantly a sales meeting. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, we've got Jaco van Niekerk, Jacques, and myself, and then this is today's agenda. So we're just going to go through a welcome, which I feel I've done, our panelist introduction. I'm going to give you a system overview of our current system. I'm going to go through how to manage your portfolio. We've introduced a new feature called Fund Your Wallet, which allows you to pre-fund your wallet, or it allows you to get KYC before you make an investment in the intention that you want to invest in a project that hasn't gone live yet. Also to assist you with how to get cash out of your wallet if you want to withdraw funds from your investment or your portfolio. And then just to go through a discussion about your distributions, how to reinvest them, to look at the structure versus an individual project. There's various structures you can create. We'll go through those. Your distribution payments, Jaco is going to go through that. That's more to do with how and when we pay out, and the mechanisms that go on behind the scenes before distributions get paid. to go through our trading accounts, how your trading account works, as we display it as a wallet, but how it actually happens in the background on the listed environment. To discuss what Tropex is. Tropex is our listed backend system, which is managed by Velocity Trade. And then just to go through our investment structures, or open investments versus funded investments. And then we're going to go into a Q&A session. So please, if you do have questions, pop them down in the chat box, and we'll then go through those questions afterwards, and we'll allow 10 to 15 minutes of questions. Before we start, we had an opportunity to give away a small prize today. So the question that I'm posing, and the first correct answer is going to win the prize, and then I'll share what the prize is at the end. The question today is, if you log into the platform and you go down on the main portfolio screen, you will have a new feature at the bottom called investments coming soon, or coming soon. There's 2 investments listed there. If someone can please give me the name of those 2 investments, you will win the prize for today. Okay, let's get going. All right, is everything showing okay there? Okay. So is the answer in already?
It says long life and 0 to 1.
That's correct.
That was Hank Lim.
Hank Lim, you're very quick. You're on the draw. You have said stuff. Well done, Hank. We'll have to revise that prize and see who the next investor prize is. Winner is. Okay. All right. So, as I take it, everybody that's online today has already created a profile. Your profile is set up, and then you do a KYC when you register. So this is a shell profile that I've created. I have gone through and I have created the profile. All right, so this is the guest profile I've created and completed all the information. And before you do any investments, you need to create your profile, create your entities, which I've listed over there, as well as get KYC'd before you can make an investment, or before you can complete an investment. So this is your profile section I'm just running through, which should be quite standard to all online viewers, because they should all have already processed or gone past this section. What I would like to just share with you is some of the new functions and features. We've launched in the Browse Products section, where we show our current products, as well as a search criteria on the top. On the top, you can refine your search by viewing residential or apartment or new buildings, medical buildings, commercial or blue chip. At the moment, we only have a multifamily in the PPA group, and we have a medical building. So if you were to go to the top and click on medical commercial, it's going to refine the search and only show the medical buildings, may there be one or many on the site. If you want to then remove that, use untick it again, and then you click on residential. It's going to, again, we don't have any residential at the moment, but we do have as I was saying, I can't understand why it wasn't coming up under residential, under commercial residential. But use this refine search criteria to go through and narrow down your search as to what you would like to view. I'm just going to take them all off. All right. Then under your descriptions here, you can actually type the partner names you want. You can here also look under if they are funded investments or open investments. Funded investments are going to be a list of our assets that are already closed, that have already been funded over the past years. And then also we also have a criteria or a selection criteria for territory. So here you can again see which investments are funded by which territory. All right, so that's our refine your search area of our products. We've added a new section late last year for our partners and suppliers section. Under the browse partner section, we are listing our preferred product suppliers. These are our partnered developers that have product that they list on the platform, and they can, in terms of their agreements, they can then list their assets on our platform, as well as they can show their future coming projects and their existing developments that they have. Here's FWJK, which is one of our South African partners, which we are just starting up a new relationship with. And this shows you exactly who they are, their core competencies, as well as the teams that they have. There's Dave William Jones. And then it will show the investments coming soon. Maybe you have or haven't heard yet. We are launching a South African sort of section to our business in March, and the first project we're going to have online is this 0 to 1 project, which is going to be a landmark building in Cape Town. It's going to be the tallest building in Cape Town, built by FWJK, and it's going to sort of like spearhead us into this African market. FWJK below have their section of existing products that they've launched. Predominantly, they are a developer in the KZN area, as well as now they are upping their development projects in Cape Town. I think they're currently busy with 3 or 4 projects in the Cape Town CBD at the moment. All right, so that's a nice, exciting new section of our portal, where we're showing all of our partners and their projects. What we intend having in the next couple of months is at least 10 projects live on the system. Some of which are going to be South African, some of which are going to be Australian, and some of which are going to be in America. And you'll be able to browse the partners and products through this section over here. All right. The next section I'm going to go through is your portfolio. We've made some enhancements and changes to the portfolio. Sorry, it's going a bit slow. All right. The portfolio is going to show the areas in which you're investing. I'm going to switch to my other browser. All right. This is another profile that I've got, which has existing investments in it. In this portfolio, you can see that I have investments in the North America as well as in Australia. This top circle over here, if you hover over it, it will show you which investments you have. The blue will indicate the investments in North America. Then there's more than one section. The first section is showing you what is open and has not been listed at this stage. And the other section is going to show what is funded and what is active investments. Then the purple section over there is showing you my investments in Australia. So this gives you a percentage. So my portfolio at this stage, I've got 13.8% of my investments in Australia. I've got 65.8%, which is already funded and active on the secure site in North America, and I've got a further 20%, which is currently in the process of being invested. We're just waiting for the listings to take place. As you scroll down, you will have a look at your investments. We have 2 categories here. The current investment that's on the screen is the one that is open, and that is in the state of open investment. That's the Cypress Reach development in Texas. This development is currently in the second phase of being listed on the social stock market. That's why it's still open. And if I were to click on the funded investments on top here, that will show you this profile or my investments that have been closed already. So I've already funded. I'm already an investor of Medical 5, and I'm an investor of Kensington. So this shows you your demographics. It's exactly where you are in the world you invested, and right below you shows you exactly what assets you have and in what state they are of being funded or still in the process of being funded. Below that is a My Wallet section. I'm going to come back to that in a second. That is a new feature we've added, which is allowing our investors to fund their wallet whenever they have spare cash available. It's also allowing new investors that haven't yet done an investment or haven't yet been KYC'd to go through the KYC process and to pre-fund their wallet, waiting for a project to launch. I'll come back to that now. Below that is the active wallets that this profile has. This profile has a US dollar account as well as an Australian dollar account. And those wallets are there for the US dollar wallet is for the Cyprus and the Medical 5, and then the Australian wallet is there for the Kensington project. But essentially every currency that you deal in via your investments on the platform, you will have a separate currency wallet. And then below that is your actual securities. So here you can see I've invested in the Cyprus, Ridge, Kensington, and the Medical 5 projects, and it shows you the amounts. Below that, we are listing some top pick investments, which we will grow from time to time, and we'll add more to it, and we'll have different ones on the front end. At the moment, we have a Medical 7 where you can invest, Cyprus Ridge multifamily, and the Cedarwood stable income investment. And within the next 30 odd days, we'll potentially have 5 or 6 more. And then below this, there is our coming soon investments. And yes, for those of you who found the site and got Tower Mall and 0 to 1 correct, we'll identify shortly which of our investors won the prize today, and not staff. Sorry, Hank. All right, so while we're on the investments coming soon, I'll just want to go through this process quickly. As you can see, I mentioned the 0 to 1 and the FWJK. If you click on that investment, it's going to show you what the investment about. We are going to be launching this in March. We're going to list this from an initial launch amount of 1,000 Rand. We're keeping it very low to try and grow our investor base. And this is the section where it's going to give you a full overview of the product. Here we're rating our developer, the amount of experience. You can go to the Browse Partner section and do more homework on them. Then we have the investment summary of the deal with our documents you can download, the brochures and your property supplement. We shouldn't have any project updates at the moment because it's not a live project yet. And we will have our return calculator, which at this stage, we have got some figures in here so you can see the kind of returns you're going to get. So for 1,000 Rand investment after 36 months, you will make a return of 492 Rand and get a payment out of 1,492. So based on a 3-year investment, that's a pretty good it's a pretty good return. So this is what we have in our coming soon. And if you're really interested in it and you want to get onto the wait list and on the watch list and make sure you get the first option at this, we have an add to watch list button. You can click on the watch list. It's going to ask you how much you intend to invest. Let's say you'd like to invest 10,000. You can add that to your watch list. We will now have a database on our side of investors that have pre-registered their interest, and you will have priority over when the investment goes live, which, as I've said, is going to be in the near future. If you then change your mind and you don't want to stay on the watch list, you can come back to this page, and over here you see a button saying remove from watch list. You can just click on that. It'll ask you a question on the top. Yes, would you like to be removed? And yes, you have been removed. You're welcome to go back and add yourself back on. That just manages our database on the back end as to who's interested in this project. All right. I'm going to go back to my portfolio. Okay, I've gone to the managing your portfolio. I'm going to go to the Fund My Wallet section. For those of you who haven't invested yet, I'll see how the time goes. And if time allows, I'll run through a quick investment, a full investment cycle. For those of you who have already invested and understand that when you go through the investment phase, the last phase of that investment is to actually make your transfer and to upload your proof of payment, which is it's more than likely quite adequate when you're doing your first investment. But once you've done your first investment and you now have an active wallet and you KYC'd and you have an active trading account essentially, and you have some spare cash that's come into your account, or you got your annual bonus, and you want to store it somewhere without tempting you too much to go and spend it on that new car or that new house, what we've done is we've created the pre-fund the wallet section, which now allows you to go in and basically fund your wallet. So I'll just run through that process with you. So when you go into your Fund My Wallet, it will bring up to which you'll be allowed to choose which investment entity. Let me just change over to the other profile for this because it will have an empty section. I'm going back into Fund Wallet. So in this entity or this profile, I've got two entities. I've got an individual entity, which is your private investment, so investing in your private name. And here you can see I've also created a company investment. So with that in mind, you can fund two different wallets on your profile. It's important to understand that company investments are going to be treated a little bit more complex as well as trusts for international investments because the information that you have to provide is a lot more in detail. You have to provide your full company documentation, proof that you are able to trade on behalf of the company, and all the relevant FICA and KYC information regarding those entities. Whereas with your individual or your private entity, all we really require is your proof of ID and passport, as well as your proof of residence. And also understanding that if you are doing local investments, your company and your trust investments are more in line. But if you are doing international investments, your local company or your local trust vehicles are not really permitted to invest in offshore real estate. So you'd need to set up offshore companies or offshore trusts to do that. And for that, we at Wealth Migrate really can't give you advice, and we'd require you to go and seek tax and structure advice from a private individual. But in the case of the Fund Your Wallet, let's assume we want to park some of our funds away in our trading platform, our trading account on the Wealth Migrate secure site. We'll select my individual profile. Over here, it allows you to, okay, let me start that again. If this is your very first time that you are coming into this and you haven't yet invested and you haven't done a KYC, at this section, it's going to force you to go through the KYC process and complete your profile. So here you will go in and complete all your relevant information, upload your documents, your passport, your ID, and your proof of address, and send that information through to get you KYC'd. Once you are KYC'd, it will then allow you to come back to this section. Let me just go back in here. You choose your individual entity, and you go to the next phase. At this point, it's going to come in and allow you to make your payment. So here it's going to bring up the one of two options we have available at the moment. We're about to launch two more. The one is going to be your BitPay account, which is going to allow you to use Bitcoins to make a purchase. And the other one is going to be when we launch our South African site, we are going to have another service provider called a Paygate, where we're going to allow for local online EFTs as well as debit and credit card amounts. But that's more practical for a local South African investment than for international investments. For international investments, we have Sable, which is our partner that facilitates and assists us in transferring funds from South Africa to foreign destinations, as well as your normal EFT information which you can give to your bank. If you click on this link, it will ask you where would you like to have your investments, in your Australia account or in your United States account. Basically what it's asking is if you would like to fund your account to invest in United States. We have a unique dollar account on the Seychelles bank account where we store those funds, or we have a US dollar if you're going to invest in Australian dollar if you are going to invest in Australia. So choose the destination you'd like to invest in and then go ahead and click on that button. If you want to invest in United States, you choose the US dollar. This will then give you the bank account information for that destination, as well as the very last item on this list is your Wealth Migrate account number. That is your unique account number, which you must use as your reference. So when the funds land in the foreign account with that reference number, we know we have to allocate that to your investment or your wallet, essentially your trading account. So if you would like to invest some funds, you'd go to the bottom here, you choose the amount. You'd like to invest $10,000. You then effectively go and make that transfer using your EFT or using Sable. Once that's done, you will have a proof of payment, and then you will come along here and you'll upload that proof of payment by clicking on the upload button. I've just stored some documentation here, and you will choose your proof of payment and you'll upload that payment. That's giving us the ability to allow us to track your funds to make sure those funds will end up in your wallets and your trading account if needed. So that's how to fund your account. Just a note of concern or note of warning here. If you come along here and you need to go away from the site, make the transaction and then come back with a proof of payment, what I'd recommend you do is just to print the screen out and have this available, or copy it and email it to your bank or to Sable to give all the correct information. This document here gives all the information you need: the bank account number, the branch code, the SWIFT codes, and your unique Wealth Migrate reference number with all the relevant address information that is required for international transactions. So for international transactions, please, this is very important. And if you're choosing to go and make an Australian dollar transaction, you click on the Australian button, and basically you'll have a different account number come up there, but the relevant information will be pretty similar, but you need to have that unique bank account number there. Your Wealth Migrate reference number will still be the same. All right. So basically, once you've done that, you've essentially created a transaction, you funded the amount into your wallet, you have requested that your KYC be done. Once your KYC has been done, your funds will be allocated to your wallet, and you will be able to invest in a project. Click on complete, and just a warning to make sure that you are sending your supporting documentation through for your KYC. All right, so assuming that's been done and that's all gone according to plan, you will have sent funds through to your wallet. I'm going to just change profiles again. So once you've gone through the Fund My Wallet process and your KYC has been done and they've received your funds in the Seychelles Barclays bank account, we will then have a cash deposit in your account of the $10,000. So effectively, this could be your transaction that you've done via your Fund Your Wallet. So that will then appear in your wallet. Your wallet on our portal is essentially your online trading account, which Jax will go into a bit more detail in a few minutes. Essentially, that is the trading platform that we work on in the Seychelles to list the products on the Seychelles stock market and giving you a trading account where you can buy and sell your shares in the assets that we have on offer. All right, so that's your funding of your wallet. just for example, this particular profile has already earned some dividend incomes. It's earned 2 dividend incomes from Medical 5. It earned on the 8th of November, it earned $200, and on the 3rd of February, it earned $200. So essentially, this wallet or this trading account is sitting with a cash balance of $400. In the event that I would like to withdraw those funds out and have those funds sent back to my local account, which is what I have specified under my profile, what we suggest you do, what we recommend you do at this stage, is to contact the office. They will send you a form that you complete. Then you just send that form back to us, or you scan that form in, and we will then request that to be cleared by the trading account. This is an interim phase. In the near future, we're going to have an online process where you'll download that form via or complete that form on the system directly. It will send a request through to the trading platform to release those funds, and we'll have those funds transferred back to the account that you specified. Please note, these funds will only be sent back to the account that you have created under your My Profile. And in the event that you want to change that account for whatever reason, understand you will need to go through a new KYC and FICA process to make sure that you are the right owner of that account and those funds. And it's very important to note that you can't ever have these funds transferred to anybody else. They have to come back to the same account, and the account will have to be in the same name as the person that invested them. So these funds are in the name of Clifford Kayett. The only bank account that will be able to receive them is the bank account with the name Clifford Kayett, and that account will have to be specified on the system. So if you need to make any changes because you've had to change your bank account, or you now have an offshore account of some sort, it needs to be in the same name, and contact our officers and we can help you and manage that process and make sure you get KYC with your new account details. Okay. That's how to get your funds out of your wallet. Now, assuming you would like to reinvest those funds into another project, as opposed to making a new payment, you now have received dividends and you want to invest those dividends into a new investment. We again ask you to contact our officers. We're going to send you a form to complete, and then when you make your investment through the normal investment cycle, instead of uploading a proof of payment of your investment amount, you can scan that form in, which shows that you are authorizing the trading company to utilize your funds available in your trading account or your wallet, as opposed to you paying more funds into that wallet. So that's how we align that at the moment. So please note, we are happy that investors can reinvest their amounts. The only catch we have at the moment, not really catch, the only limitation is that if you want to invest in the American project, the minimum amount is $1,000. This profile now has $400 available. So you would need to top it up with $600 more to make it $1,000 to be able to reinvest those funds. But they are available to you. If you are earning more than $1,000 in your dividends, you can reinvest them on a quarterly basis. Okay. Yeah. Structure versus individual. I kind of have alluded. I'm just going to go through one of the other questions we often have in regards to the structures versus the individual. I did go through it briefly in my explanation on the wallet, but let me just open it up again. So when you are investing in your various projects, you can under your account have more than one investment structure. So you can have, as I explained to you, your individual structure or your company structure. Each one of those individual structures are treated as a separate investment entity on our platform. So each one of those structures will have their own wallets and their own securities issued. So if I invest money in my name and I earn dividends back in my name, I cannot invest those funds into my other structure. I have to then essentially transfer them out of my structure and then reinvest them back into the company structure, for example. You cannot transfer funds between your structures because they are separate legal entities. think the message inside.
But just the option that it is linked and that you can decide as to which of the individual or the actual structure will be the investor. Depends on the circumstances of each investor.
Yeah, that's true. So what Jax is saying, it's obviously some of our investors do have very involved structures set up for reasons of inheritance and so on, and they would prefer to invest with those structures as opposed to investing in their private name, and this is how you would go about it. All right. Also understanding that international investing is different to investing in South Africa, because the local investments the local companies will allow you to have a company or a trust structure, whereas international, you have to have offshore structures put in place. Okay. All right. I think I've covered a few of the items I wanted to cover. There was one thing I wanted to go through on the security side. So once you have created an investment and you have funded investment, over here you can see I've made a deposit of $10,000. I've then purchased shares in Medical 5 for $10,000. And if I come down to my security section under Medical 5, here I will see an order of $10,000, which was done on the same date as the, or a date just prior to the date the funds were paid. And then when that payment got affected, the day the listing took place on the Seychelles stock market, the day we listed the Medical 5 project, would be the day that the funds would be removed from my account. On the 27th of July, the funds were removed from the account, and essentially 10,000 shares were issued at $1 a share on the Seychelles stock market. On the right-hand side, you can see there's a view on blockchain. That's also a new feature we've enabled towards the end of last year. And essentially, what it's now doing is we are registering and are documenting every single transaction we list on the stock market on the blockchain. We are, I think, the very first company in the world to be doing this for commercial real estate. And essentially, if you click on this view on blockchain, we have written onto the Bitcoin blockchain the full transaction that you have undergone. Here's your transaction details that we cover on the left-hand side. And essentially, for your peace of mind, that has been committed to the blockchain on a distributed ledger, which is stored all over the world. And essentially, no one can make any changes to that without a full audit trail to what's going on with that. So it's a security system that we've built in and added onto our system to give peace of mind to the fact that that transaction hasn't just happened on our portal, it's now happened, and we've communicated that throughout the whole world via the blockchain. So quite a nice feature for investors out there to know that their funds are committed to the blockchain and are secure. All right. That's about it from my side at this stage. I'll go through the questions at the moment. I'm going to hand over to Jakes for a few minutes just to go through the distribution payments, the trading accounts, and Tropics. So, Jakes, over to you. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Cliff. Yeah, so if you guys would allow me, I'm just going to change the order quickly. I'm first going to speak about the trading account. And the reason why I want to start there is to bear in mind that we are operating within what we refer to as a listed environment. So as part of the sign-up process, when you accept our terms and conditions and you become a member, you will then, via our integration with PKF and DMA, we will open up a trading account for you. The reason for that is that you need a trading account via a broker in order to trade in shares or securities which are listed on Tropics, which is the exchange registered and for the Seychelles in this regard. So the importance of that is that what Cliff explained to you is what we offer to our investors, and we call it the wallet. But the trading account is actually what is required by law to be allowed to do the trade. So the trading account, as I said, is important. That needs to be KYC'd, or we need to have also the other implications as far as AML or anti-money laundering regulations. We need to make sure that the funds that's being paid or deposited into the trading account actually belongs to the investor, and we need to make sure it comes from a reputable bank account, or a bank account actually, as Cliff also explained to you guys, linked to the particular profile. So the money that's being paid from Cliff's personal bank account will be received in the trading account, and the brokers will then link that back to his profile, so to make sure that that money actually is the money invested or that has been deposited by Cliff in order to trade. From a trading perspective, also in terms of the market rules and the listing requirements of Tropics, it is based on DVP, which means delivery versus payment. So what Cliff also explained to you guys as far as the pre-funding of your wallet, the requirement is that you need to have the cash in order to purchase the shares. So previously in some other exchanges, you had like as long as 7 days actually to pay for your shares. But in terms of the market rules in Tropics, you need to have the cash in your wallet or your trading account before you can actually purchase the shares. The other important thing I would just like to explain also is that your trading account is then integrated and or linked with our wallet. So you will then see that the trading account or the wallet will have various items in it. It will have cash, it will have securities, and it will also have some dividends. So the trading account or the wallet is where you can then trade from and or view your investments, which is directly linked to your investments via Migrate and or which was listed on Tropics. So I hope that gives a little bit more explanation why we need to require from you guys to do a KYC, or that we need to be compliant as far as AML is concerned, because effectively we are dealing with investments in securities or shares, and that's the legal requirements as far as that is concerned. The next topic I would just like to explain, or what I would like to give more clarity about, is the so-called distribution payments. So our investments in commercial properties make provision that on a quarterly basis, the net cash, which is in other words the cash after the distributions or expenses in relation to that particular property, before tax and other structure costs, are declared as a dividend on a quarterly basis to our investors. Now, for the purposes here, I'm going to focus once again on our investors that invested via the portal, and more particularly our investors that invested and the shares that was listed on Tropics. And just remind me to come back to the LLCs then for that matter, but better as it may. So as far as our investors are concerned, from the exchange point of view, or the listed environment as we call it, the company that actually listed the shares, or in which the investors invested the money, will make an announcement to the exchange that to all the investors that's shareholders of that company on a particular date and time will be entitled to a dividend, and once that, or based on that, they will be entitled to a dividend, and the dividend will then be subsequently paid to those investors. Once again, the payment will be made from the company as a lump sum payment to the brokers, and they will then distribute that back to the trading account stroke the wallet. So that's the reason why, if you look at Cliff's profile here, I just want to see if I can get it right. This is a Mac and I'm a Microsoft man. There you will see that dividends received. So where my mouse is currently, you can see that. Or Cliff, you want to highlight that for us? There
we go, carry on.
Yeah, you can go. So in the case of Medical 5, we actually had now 2 interim dividends. So this is interim dividends based on the actual performance of the investment or the commercial investment in the US. And this is part of the annual return of our investors. So once again, our clients or investors will then have the ability or the opportunity to decide either to reinvest the process which Cliff already explained to you guys, or you can decide to withdraw those funds, which in that case will be paid back into the account that was linked to your profile at the time of signing up. Pardon me?
Withdrawal fee of $20.
Yeah. So there is, to reinvest, there is no costs, but at the time when you do withdraw your cash from your wallet or stroke your trading account, there is a $20 fee payable, and then also there will be costs associated with the exchange thereof. So if you do want to, especially our South African investors, if they do want to convert now the dollar amount back into rand, there will be costs associated with that. Good. Then lastly, we've talked about it a lot, but just maybe once again for context. So we are making use of the listed exchange, or the exchange known as Tropex. Tropex is the exchange registered in Seychelles. It is regulated by the FSA, which is the Financial Services Authority, which again in our South African context is similar to the FSB. Tropex then has the license to operate an exchange within Seychelles. So Wealth Migrate applied to Tropex to have various listings for various investments, typically for commercial property, and we will then register that. So the listing for our investors is giving them the opportunity and giving them the comfort that for all practical purposes they are investing in a listed share, which is a regulated environment, but also giving them the added advantage that those shares are actually being able to trade based on the so-called willing buying and willing seller. So should you want to liquidate your investment, you would be able to sell that as well. As far as our broker is concerned, a lot of mention was made of that as well. So we have our sponsor advisors, which is required by the market rules, is PKF Capital, which is also registered as a securities dealer representative in Seychelles, and they act as our brokers as far as all the listings and the trading of the shares are concerned. And that's my story, short and sweet. I think we must just be conscious of the time. The LLC, so thank you for reminding me, Cliff. As far as the distributions are concerned, maybe just one proviso. We do make provision and we distinguish between our investors that invest with LLC as an investment entity, and especially for our US investments, those clients need to follow the process that is linked and is being done via Fund America, or currently called Jumpstart, which then, similarly to PKF Capital, act as our broker dealers, which is once again required by law in terms of the SEC. We do need a broker dealer for that, and the LLCs are then investing via the Jumpstart process. So once again, the distributions that's being made to our LLC investors will also be made back into their wallets, but the funds doesn't flow back into brokers in this case, which is PKF DMA, but the money will be paid into the US LLC's bank account in the US. That's just the difference, and that's why I just wanted to point that out. So thank you for reminding me for that.
Thanks, Jax. I think just on that point, it's maybe important to mention that the funds that get paid out to the LLC are basically before tax amounts, where the LLC manages its own tax matters, and the investors that go through the portal or through the secure site and invest, as I've explained and I've gone through the process now, those investors will get their returns into their wallets as after-tax incomes, and all they have to consider when they remove the funds out of that is that they declare to the local authority that they earned a foreign dividend account, a dividend income. So it's a bit easier and a bit cleaner on the secure site and on the portal. Guys, I think that pretty much wraps it up. I hope we've answered some of the concerns and questions and shown you some of the new features and functionality. It's always a bit awkward presenting when you aren't getting feedback and you're talking to yourself and talking to a screen. So I hope it came through clearly. I understand we did ask for you to have questions or post questions. So I'm going to see what is coming up here. No questions. Chat. Here we go. All right. So we've got a whole bunch of questions here. So between Jackson and I, we're just going to read through them quickly and see if we can answer some of them. Who does Wealth Migrate use to convert the US dollars or Australian dollars into rands when the investor decides to withdraw funds from the wallet? Thanks, Francis. The company we use to do our foreign investments is Velocity Trade. They're the ones that manage our secure or our investments and the online trading system. When Tropics transfers those funds back, they utilize the services of Velocity Trade to do the foreign currency conversions. And the information that I've received is that they're offering us the most favorable rates that are in the market. So your returns should be pretty much on line with anything you can get, if not better than you can get in your own accounts.
She's got a second question there. I think we can also just answer quickly. She asked, or he answers, please explain again how one goes about selling your shares before the specific investment has ended. So in the listed environment, that is what one would refer to as a secondary trade. Currently, the portal per se does not make provision for that, but you can once again, as Cliff has said, contact the offices. We can put you in touch with the broker and you can give the order to sell, and in such a way you can then sell your shares, and they will then put that offer to the market, and potential purchasers would then be able to purchase your shares.
Okay.
Is that all, Scott?
No, it's questions, Andre.
Oh.
Where is the FSA based?
FSA, Clive, thank you for the question. As I said, the FSA is the Financial Services Authority of Seychelles. So, as I said, it's like the FSB of South Africa. So, they are registered in Seychelles and is the regulatory authority for Seychelles. And by implication, then Tropics as the exchange.
Mark, I see a question from you about paying $1,000 in and then paying $1,000 from it, and your wallet isn't showing. If you paid funds in and you've taken funds out, it shouldn't be there if they were invested. But if that wasn't the case, Mark, I will get someone to contact you to find out more about that. In terms of KYC documents, when you go through your online application process, depending on which entity you choose, we do list the kind of KYC documents that you need to complete. In your private capacity, it's quite simple. It's just your passport, ID, and proof of residence. And if you go through a company, it will be at least that for every individual member, as well as all the relevant company documentation or trust documentation. And sometimes this can get very hairy because some companies are owned by trusts and they have shareholders here and shareholders there. It can become very involved. So if for an individual, it's quite simple, look on the system, but for further information, please contact our support center, and Cisco will be glad to help you. You find anything to read out, Jax?
Pardon me?
Have you found an answer you want to give?
Yeah, maybe the one that she says, I can't see individual, only trust or company. I think we must just check again on at the time when you select, you will obviously select and you will start off as an individual, and then you will need to select again that you will create a profile for the trust or the company. And the portal is set up to the extent that you will be guided as to the documents that you need to upload. Unfortunately, it is not a set list because it all depends on actual documents being uploaded. So the minute we are dealing with a company or a trust, we will be guided by the documentation provided as far as KYC stroke AML is concerned.
Sue Stale, what are KYCs? Sue, essentially, South Africans call it FICA, your FICA documents. Internationally, KYC stands for Know Your Client. It's a similar term. And linked to KYCs and FICAs is the AML, which is the anti-money laundering. So those are the three requirements that we have, or our investment officers have, to make sure that we are dealing with legal entities, valid people, and the funds aren't being used for or aren't being earned illegally and then used to invest. So those are the three kind of checks we have to go through as a business. What is BTC?
I don't know.
Andre Janssen van Rensburg asking a question, when do you anticipate BTC going live? Bitcoin, okay. Bitcoin should be going live in the next week or two. What essentially we'll allow you to transact using Bitcoins. We won't receive Bitcoins as payment, but essentially we will, through BitPay, allow you to convert your Bitcoins into dollars, and those dollars will appear in our account overseas. So that's going to be coming live in the next week or two. Watch this space. So how long does it take for my investment money paid into Medical 7 to be subtracted from showing in my wallet? Pierre van der Berg. Pierre, essentially, we have a listing criteria. So you fund your wallet and you conclude your investment, assuming you're putting $10,000 in, you fund your wallet with $10,000. We put a buy order in for that amount, and when that listing takes place, so when we list Medical 7, we may have 1 or 2 listings. When that listing takes place is the actual transaction date, and that's when we will remove your funds from your wallet and credit your shares to your securities section. So it's the day of the listing, and we will communicate that to all investors as the project goes on.
Yeah, so maybe just to add to that, so the cash will then be converted into securities. So that will then, as Cliff again explained to you guys previously, it will show now under your securities as well.
So, do you want to tackle that one? Thanks.
Clive put a second question saying, does the secondary market function with market makers making bid offer spread or by way of broker matching buyers and sellers? Yeah, Cliff, it's a difficult one. Up until now, we haven't really had specific requests from our clients or investors to sell that. But notionally, the broker will be the port of call, and the broker will put the buyers and the sellers to each other, and they will be matching them via the brokers. Yeah, so the next question, which is also quite interesting, is does one get a tax certificate on the portal for dividends received? Once again, we are expanding the services, and we will be in future provide you with such a certificate. But remember, it is the investor's obligation to report on those dividends as far as tax compliance in the relevant jurisdictions are concerned. But yes, we can provide that.
All right, I see a question from Justin Clark. Tell us about how due diligence is done on a building and how do you identify opportunities. Justin, this is quite a long conversation, but essentially we have how many points?
140.
140 point document which we go through, which is called our GID system. And basically we identify assets normally via our partners in the various areas. They identify that they are good assets for various reasons. We then go over and look into them and conduct an in-depth due diligence based on the GIT system. And that system spews out a score, and depending on the kind of score that comes out is what we use in our investment committee to decide if we are going to invest in that asset or not. But Justin, that's really a long story. I gave you a very short answer. And please feel free to come to one of our dinners or breakfasts and spend time with one of our staff, and we can go through that in more detail.
Just maybe to add to that, so the due diligence, we have a dedicated team for that, first of all, and secondly, the results and all the outcome of the due diligence is part of the documentation that's being submitted to the investment committee. The members will then consider that based on the predetermined investment criteria. The investment committee will finally make a decision as to whether, in actual fact, the investment is an opportunity that we would allow and or present to our investors. So there is a specific process that is being followed. The other question was, how do we get the properties? Is that we do have various partners, for argument's sake, in the US or in Australia, that will source these properties, and they will then verify the information about the developer and or the existing property. If it is a built property, that's part of the due diligence process. So I think we are really certain as to those requirements, and we are really fixed to make sure that the property or the investment falls within that specific investment criteria.
Okay, thanks, Jax. Last question, guys. There's quite a few questions we never got to. Time is not going to allow. So I'm going to answer the last question, then I'm going to come up with the prize winner for today. Francis asks, if you invest with an SA bank account for a South African investment, and then later on you KYC against your South African account, and then later on you create an offshore account, will you be able to pay your dividends into the offshore account? Francis, this is a delicate one, for the simple reason that we always have to make sure that the same person that's making the investment is receiving the funds. So if you are using a South African account to make your initial investment, we do understand in business and in life that bank accounts change. So we have to allow for people to change their accounts. But it's very important to remember that if the account that was opened initially is in your name, you need to make sure that the account opened in the new bank account, if it's an South African account or a foreign account, needs to be in your name. Once you provide the correct FICA and KYC documentation to prove that that is valid, your valid account via a different bank, we are happy to make that transaction for you. Just bear in mind that there may be some admin costs in changing accounts because of the additional FICA requirements. But essentially, it is quite within the law to change a bank account. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. I've kind of hope we've gone through and answered all the questions adequately. We do have a list of all the questions which we're going to give to our consultants to make sure that they all get proper attention and responded to. And in terms of the competition that we launched, what are the buildings that we are launching in the coming soon section? Yes, we went through them. It's the Tower Mall and it's the 0 to 1. And the winner is Mariette Koning or Koning. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce that, Mariette, but well done. We are giving you a copy of Scott Pickens' book, Property Going Global, which we'll be sending through to you or contacting you, making sure you get that book. So from my side, Cliff, and from Jake's, and very quiet Jacques in the corner here, thank you very much for your time today. And please, any further questions, please feel free to send through to your consultants. We'll be happy to attend to them. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Bye-bye all.